Hi.
Hi.
What's up?
How are ya?
I'm good.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm doing this from the comfort of home, so I'm like, all right, this is nice.
Yay!
Yeah.
I
Normally I
know I
would
just
do.
got home from work.
You just got home from work?
Yeah, my store opened yesterday.
Oh,
Yeah.
how is it?
Uh, really slow.
Yeah.
Because we're not allowing people inside.
And
So
so you have a
we
drive-through
hold them
though,
at
right?
I'm cafe. Yeah.
Oh, so that
So
does
we
make it really awkward.
yeah, so it's like, we have at the patio, let we have a sign out there and it says, "Hey, wait here. We'll bring your drink out to you." We have a little table out there. So we open the door and we put it down and we say, "Hey, how's it going? This is the new normal for now." So
Yeah,
just kind of get the customer used to this until the next step, because I don't know what next step is.
right.
So we'll see.
Mm,
It's only like 3 people working. Yeah.
yeah. What do do you guys have to wear a mask?
Uh-huh. It's
Yeah.
okay. It's not as bad. I have a pretty cool one. I'll show it to you. I really like it. Hold on.
Let's
Here's the
see.
Starbucks
Oh,
mask.
cool. Wait, did they make that for you?
No,
Oh,
but I did. But still, I was like, I use an apron.
I wonder if Target, I was at Target yesterday and I saw a few, I didn't look at everyone's mask now that I think about it, but I saw a few with the black Target, well, with the black mask and then like the
Hmm.
Target logo on the corner. And I was wondering, like, I
Hmm.
wonder if the companies are making them for their employees. That would be great.
I think it would be cool. They did give us masks, but they mass produce them so fast, so they're very sheer and
Mm,
fine. So, but they're recommending us to put filters on them, like the filters that work for coffee, because they say they work just as good supposedly.
yeah,
So behind it, if we feel comfortable doing that. But at least we're open, and most of my partners have their own masks.
yeah,
So
most people do.
hmm
Hi
yeah.
guys, how's everyone
Hi.
doing?
Good. How are you?
Hey.
My face is so shiny though. I can't get rid of that shine.
Is it? Is
It's shiny to me. Maybe it's just me.
that a bad
Oh.
thing?
I don't know. Well, well, I don't know. Oily.
Oily is good for your
Okay.
skin.
Yeah.
Better than dry. I think oily is better for you. Hmm.
Yeah. Has anyone else returned to work? Laura, you're not going into work, right?
No, but actually I do have to go in tomorrow.
Oh,
So it's on I have a meeting tomorrow, a call, and there's some work papers I need to get in my office. But I don't have to go in if I don't want to. But there is something. But no one's there. So it's actually pretty good. Um, no one's there. Kind of quiet. So,
yeah.
and the office is cleaner than I've ever seen it before. Not my office, but the custodians are keeping it because they have to work because they can't do their job at home. So they're like spot cleaning everything.
Right.
Mm.
And Liz, what about you? Do you go by Liz?
Huh?
What do you go
Yeah,
by?
I go by this. Yeah, I go by
Okay.
this. No, I've been off work since March 17. I'm a hygienist, so I think that we might be going back March 18. Yeah, we're like the #1 at risk, higher than doctors, higher than nurse, because we are like right in your mouth.
Yeah, that's what my
And
face
then
was
the
like.
aerosols that we produce, like, yeah, you leave, but it lingers around in a room. So it's just really frustrating because we're trying to figure out a way where like we're protecting ourselves, but even after the patients leave and after the next patient comes in, you're walking into a room that we just saw someone and aerosols are sprayed everywhere. How are we filtering that? Yeah, so that's where I'm at.
It just makes you think of like all the, I don't know. I'm becoming a little more hyper aware of everything now. It's like, oh, that person just walked
Yes.
over there and they left a trail of their breath, and I don't want to walk in that.
You're like, shoo, shoo, shoo. You have Lysol, you're all,
Yeah.
You just like teach everyone to just be cleaner, have etiquette, you know?
I know.
Yeah. Crazy
Yeah,
time.
my sister works in the dental field and she's in the same boat. So
Yeah.
And she lives in Iowa.
Oh,
Uh-huh.
It's almost dropping down.
And Jasmine. Hi, Jazz.
Yes.
Hey, how are you guys? Sorry, like I just finished a workout.
Today we're gonna go over strength and stability for the overhead squat. So it should be a fairly quick session, like let's say like 15, 20 minutes.
You always say that.
I'll say that, yeah.
they're good.
I think it'll be quick. I don't know. Sometimes I'm like racking, I'm going through my head like I could talk about this and this and this, and I'm like, no, it's a challenge because it's like sometimes you guys don't know how many like PowerPoints I start, and I'm like, oh, this is getting good, and then I was at like an hour in, I'm like, oh my god, it's just too complex. It's too much information. It's overwhelming. So like we started this off with a bang, and I had like all these ideas, and now I'm getting to a point now where I'm like, oh my god, what am I going to talk about? But that's ridiculous because I could talk about so many things. At the same time, it's like trying not to get overwhelmed with it because I can't. A lot of it requires, it's tricky. It requires you to be on a platform, right? And for us, I could talk and explain things to you, but not actually doing something is, it adds a little more to it, right? So, but yeah, anyways, part of this is knowing, because I like when that light bulb goes off for you guys and you're like, oh, I haven't been doing that. You know, well, you should. Yeah. Okay, let's get started. So let me share my screen here. Voila, here we are. All right, so it's a simple one. So snatch, strength and stability in the overhead positions. Check this out. So I was having, when Windows first came out, or like PowerPoint was becoming a big thing, and they started putting all those transitions in between the slides. Well, I haven't been doing any of that until now. Like little kid, I'm like, oh, I should add some stuff. So here we go. Let me move this out of the way. Ah, dang it. Hold on, guys. No, that's not supposed to happen. There it is. Here, I'm trying to minimize. 1 second. Just need a thumbnail. There we go. All right, great. Back to the top. All right, cool. So here's a quick little definition of what we're trying to achieve here. So a proper overhead position relies not solely on strength, but also stability. Stability is a factor because the shoulders are built for a wide range of movement, which can incur unwanted, excessive movement. So I think I mention this because oftentimes when we are missing overhead, the first thing that comes to mind is strength. Oh, my overhead is weak. I have a weak overhead. I need to do more of this and more of that, which is a possibility. You certainly could require more. You could need more overhead strength. I mean, a lot of us can, but I think what most of us forget about is the stability factor. And I mentioned the shoulders because the shoulders, just look at what we can do with them. We can do quite a bit, right? Go overhead, we can take it to the back. We have some pulling motion. The shoulders allow us to do a lot, but with all that range of motion comes a lot of required stability to hold a position. Now you have a barbell in your hands and it's overhead and you have X amount of weight and it's heavy. You need to control the barbell, right? So there's no stability. You can be strong as you'd like, and the moment the barbell sways a little, you would have to get the snatch perfect every single time if you didn't have stability, right? Because the minute the barbell travels forward or backward, it's gonna fall. You'll have no control over it. And so how do we stabilize, right? So here we go. So across the board, take a look at this picture. This is from Greg Everts, but across the board for nearly all overhead movement, whether it's a split jerk, a push press, here in the split jerk, when we need to get weight in the overhead position, take a look at, where's my mouse? I have no control of, can't see my mouse. Take a look at these two arrows there. So these are his shoulder blades, right? When we press into the overhead position, or even before you press into the overhead position, you want those two, the top of the shoulder blades, to be pressed together. Now, you don't want to exaggerate it so much so that the shoulders are now out of line, that you're pulling your shoulders excessively back. You need to keep the shoulders in line, right? And then just, let me see. Try it right now. Try it with me. Try and get the upper shoulder blades to press together. So yeah, the shoulders do pull back a bit, but we don't want to exaggerate that too much. It's punch them together, and then imagine a barbell on your back or even in the front rack position. This is the position you need to be in before you start actually pressing up. So it takes a while to kind of play around with it. You should get that sensation down. So this is across the board in all overhead movements. All right, so the snatch push press for Laura. I know she's very familiar with this movement. We do it in weightlifting quite often. So this is going to address the upper back strength. We need the upper back, right? We need the most of the shoulders. Actually, we need shoulders and the upper back to help stabilize, and also we need them to be strong for us to continue pressing through when we get into the overhead position. So upper back strength, right? Snatch grip width, of course, we're dealing with the snatch grip. This name also, it also has a bunch of different names. It's like snatch grip, push press, snatch, push press. Actually, I think there's only 2 names. It feels like a lot. Shoulder blades are squeezed back together. Dip smoothly with the knees. Drive hard with the legs, always, right? Continue pushing the barbell up until the elbows are fully extended. Maintain the elbows in locked out position. How do you practice this? It's anywhere between 70 to 80% of your snatch, right? And 3 to 5 reps and sets. So it's up to you. The heavier it gets, depending upon what situation you're in, probably the less reps you need. So if you're at that, if you feel like 75% is heavy for you, then I would keep it at 3 reps. So the heavier and the less familiar you are with the movement, keep the reps lower and maybe keep it in like the 4 to 5 sets. So you have room to play with. So on this one, 70 to 80%, 3 to 5 reps in sets. Let's talk about something here really quickly. Dip smoothly with the knees, drive hard with the legs. So remember, we want that when we dip, we want the barbell to drop straight down and go straight back up. So we initiate the dip with the knees. If the knees bend first, it'll allow the hips and the barbell to drop straight down. When you make that dip, it should be a smooth, controlled dip, and the drive should be drive hard with the legs. You want to think about launching the barbell off of your back into the air. And as the barbell's making its way up, you need to start pressing, press, and finish it with the arms. So yes, we are incorporating legs here, but we also are trying to teach ourselves how to snap the elbows shut. So yes, it is strength oriented, and we are incorporating legs, which allows us to get pretty heavy, right? 80% of your snatch on your back and then having to push press it is pretty significant. But we also need to, let's not cheat the movement and then give so much drive that the barbell just kind of, we want it to launch up, but we also want it to be a weight that'll allow us to snap the elbows shut. So that'll take you some playing around with. I mean, obviously you don't want it to be too heavy that you can't even get off your back, but you don't want it to be too light that you're easily launching it off your back and you're not even reinforcing the upper back strength or the elbows. So you have some room to play around with. Like everything in weightlifting, you got to kind of experiment, right? So let's watch this video real quick. Here we go. I'm going to mention something here. Elbows slightly behind the barbell. So when we're pressing, let's see what her starting position like. Her elbows are, yeah, they're slightly behind there, maybe even a little too for my liking. I don't know, again, it depends on the athlete, right? Her elbows look like they're pretty far behind this barbell. When we press, You want as much as possible, you want the elbows to be, you want the joints to be stacked. So a better pressing motion would be to bring the elbows closer to the barbell. Again, this is probably her preference. You play around with that. Sometimes there are a few I've seen who press or even jerk with the barbell directly, with their elbows directly underneath the barbell. That feels a little weird to me. I like it slightly behind. She likes it out in front quite a bit. So she bends. Notice she doesn't linger in that dip position very long. She gets down there and she's immediately reversing it. She's driving with the legs because she needs this barbell to get up there, right? So take a look. Dip and drive. She's not pausing down there. Dip and drive. And she's definitely finishing it. Let's see where she gets about. It's like right. See that? In this picture right here, she is clearly pushing up on the barbell with these arms. You see that? Look at them, those muscles right there. They're active. And take a look at her feet. She's on her toes. She's given a full triple extension here. She's driven so hard that look at her. She's on her toes. That's how much leg drive she's given. And it still isn't even quite enough. That's why she's going to incorporate the arms to finish getting the barbell into the overhead position. And so once the elbows snap shut, you keep them snap shut. And that's active effort. You need to not only just shrug up, there should be a slight shrug, but you don't want to incorporate, you're not trying to stabilize the overhead position, not solely just with the shoulders. She's also actively punching up with the elbows, and that's in the arms. So simple snatch, push press, boom. Again, how you practice that is 70 to 80% of your snatch, 3 to 5 reps and sets. If you're going to do this, you would want to do this after, well, in weightlifting, you would do it at the end. In a WOD, you would want to do this prior to the WOD, right? Because especially after WOD, you'd be so exhausted, and then trying to do a snatch push press, it wouldn't go very well. You'd have to keep it very light. Now, that's not to say you can't do it. You can. You have to keep it light, or you'd have to wait like 10 to 15 minutes after the WOD to fully recover, and then do a snatch grip push press. I recommend prior to a WOD, and in weightlifting, we would do it after. All right, next movement. Overhead squat with the pause. So this is strength, stability, and mobility. It's strength because we are having to actively continue push up. It's stability because you are incorporating some movement, and now it's time under tension. So you need to, not only descend into a squat, but you need to keep the shoulders in place, the barbell in place, which is with the arms and the shoulders. Mobility, because you want to take this down into the lowest squat possible, and assuming you have enough heavy weight overhead, it's going to force you to get down into a squat, and it's going to allow those muscles to elongate. It's going to teach the muscles how to be comfortable allowing the hips to descend into a full squat. So it doesn't really even need to be with the pause. The pause certainly helps the mobility because it forces you to stay down there for a couple seconds, but even just a typical, standard overhead squat will help you in strength, stability, and mobility. So I mentioned here, perform snatch push press. That was this movement over here, right? So in order to get the barbell overhead, in the starting position, you start with the barbell on your back and you get it overhead with a snatch push press, assuming you can. It might be too heavy where you cannot, then that becomes an issue. You'd have to maybe do maybe even like a snatch balance, which is the next movement, but that kind of complicates, the situation. And I'd say you probably need to take it down in weight. Here at the end, I have 70 to 80% recommended to practice with. You should be able to press that very easily. I mean, if you're tired, it might be difficult, but 80% for a snatch push press should be pretty standard for most. So with controlled speed, descend down into your lowest squat. I mentioned controlled speed because there's a tendency to kind of let gravity and the weight force you down. You don't want gravity to control this motion. You need to be the one to lower the barbell down. Pause for a count of 2 to 5 seconds in the bottom position. Especially that pause will help strength, of course, because it's time under tension, stability, because you are having to sit there and stabilize. The shoulders need to constantly adapt to this position. And mobility, it helps because take a look at this position she's in right now, that overhead squat. If I asked her to pause for 5 seconds down there, those muscles are going to stay in their stretch positions or their contracted positions to maintain that squat. Elbows locked out always, right? In weightlifting, once the elbows break, that tells us you no longer have control over the barbell. So she's actively pressing up with the arms. Shoulder blades are squeezed together. She has a stacked position. Take a look at that. The barbell, the head is pushed through. Barbell is in line with the ankles. This is kind of difficult to see from this angle, but if we were to go from a profile, this barbell is right over the ankle position here. So we want all of this stacked. And in order to be in the stacked position, the shoulders need to come a little forward, but her chest is still upright and her hips are back and down. But we don't want these hips too far back. She has a nice mobile, she's obviously flexibility is good, right? And her mobility. But if, let's say she couldn't get down lower into a squat, she would have, these hips would be higher and her chest would have to be forced to come down. So anyways, I'm kind of taking a little too far there. Don't pass out, because you need to breathe, not during the movement. You want to take a deep breath in the starting position, distribute that abdominal pressure all around 360, right? And she's holding the breath for all of this. And then you come up, exhale, recover, and repeat. That takes some getting used to. So I mentioned don't pass out because you might feel like you need to pass out. So make sure you're taking several deep breaths in the starting position if you need to. And then on the one where you're ready to go, hold it, take it down. So this one is 70 to 80% of your snatch, 1 to 3 reps, and 3 to 5 sets. So you can, let's watch this. This video here is a standard overhead squat, but it would be easy as just pausing. So was that even a push press? It's more like a snatch balance. Yeah, that's more like what would we call that? That would be how she gets, well, I'm trying to figure out the term for how she got it up. Okay. She dips, she drives. It's like
it's like a behind the neck jerk, right?
Yeah.
Power jerk, kind of.
Yeah, I guess there could be. So it's like it's a snatch, push, jerk. I don't know. We could throw so many terms at that. So anyway, so she gets the barbell up, boom, and then she recovers. She stands tall first. Notice she went from this bent position. There she goes. She locks it back out, and then she's going to take it into an overhead squat. Control. Look at that. Oh, she only did one. Oh, there's going to be, okay, here we go. There we go. And again, anytime we're squatting, whether it's a clean, a front squat, a back squat, even the snatch, when we get into the squatting motion, we want to make sure the knees are tracking the same path as the toes, right? So take a look at her knees. Oh. So most of us, that happens naturally, but if you notice when you are getting into a squat that that the knees are caving in, then that means you need to actively push the knees out. Okay, snatch balance. This one's the more complicated of the movements, right? So strength, timing, and precision. Strength, because it can get fairly heavy. I mean, take a look at the bottom here. 70 to 100% of your snatch, you should be able to do this with this movement. Timing, because you need to know, this will also teach you how to not pull yourself, but how to lock the elbows out quickly and how to get the feet dip back down to the ground quickly as well. So again, dip smoothly with the knees, drive hard with the legs. Your goal here is to elevate the barbell as little as possible. So what do I mean by that? I mean your goal. Let's compare this to the push press. In the push press, you want to get the barbell as high as possible, right? It starts on your back, dip, drive. You want to push it all the way to the very top. Here, the barbell starts on the back, and you're going to dip and you're going to drive, but this is more about pushing yourself underneath the barbell rather than trying to get the barbell as high as possible with the dip and the drive. Does that make sense? Don't overcompensate with the leg so much so that you end up in like this really high receiving position. It's a controlled dip. Yes, drive hard with the legs, but don't overdo that sensation. So we'll go through this. So quickly transition the feet into the receiving position. Push up against the barbell. Lock the elbows out. Again, that's you need to actively punch up. Lock them out. Absorb the downward force into a squat. So a quick note on that. The knees need to be fairly soft when you go into a receiving position, because if you dip, drive, and then push yourself under, but then lock the legs, you end up in this awkward press out motion, because the legs need to still be kind of somewhat flexible, right? That way to allow you to continue pushing yourself down and lock the elbows out. So yes, you need to get your feet down, back on the ground as quick as possible, but don't stiffen the legs just quite yet. You kind of want to wait until the elbows begin nearing their maximal like elbow lockout, right? Does that make sense? You need the bottom portion to be accordion-like in order for you to continue pushing yourself down to lock the barbell out, to lock your elbows out. Shoulder blades are squeezed together, absolutely, and practice 70 to 100%, 1 to 3 reps, 3 to 5 sets. So this is the snatch balance. And this is also a motion you want to do in weightlifting. We do this toward the end of our training. In a WOD, you'd want to do this before. And if you have to wait toward the end, then you need to probably wait like 10 to 15 minutes. And you probably could not go 100%, depending upon the workout. Here's the movement. So it begins on the back. There's a dip, there's a drive. Okay, it's gonna come back around. Watch that the barbell isn't being launched into the air. This is more about getting underneath the barbell than it is trying to get the barbell as high as possible. Let's see, let's slow it down. Here we go. So there's the dip, there's the drive. So look where it started. Starts there. Let's try and line that up with the picture. Okay, let's look at this. So right here, you guys see my arrow? There's the barbell, and it's in the corner of this picture right here. Let's see how much he deviates from that. There's the dip. There's the drive. Oh, look at that. Smooth. So it's about right there. He only gets it about that much higher from the picture. It's not a whole lot of height. Why? Because he understands this motion. His goal is to push underneath the barbell to lock out. Oh, my fingers are stuck. Let's see. Boom. He dips, drives, pushes under, locks it out, and then absorbs the force, rides it down, and recovers. Here we go. Dip, drive, pushes under, rides it down. And again, throughout all these motions we just talked about, they are always maintaining that intra-abdominal pressure at all times. If that midsection gets soft, or let's say he starts to breathe and starts to become a little more malleable, it's very difficult to stabilize that overhead weight if you can't maintain a tight midsection. Let's take a look at her. See what she starts off at. So she starts off at about like at this person's chest right here on that photo. Here we go. Dip, drive. Same thing. Really good control. She's not, remember, her goal is not to launch it into the air. It's to get under. Let's talk about the feet real quick. I think she is a really good example of, so your starting position for the snatch balance is your pulling position, which is your feet slightly outside your hips. And when she dips and then drives, look what her feet do. She gets on the toes, finishes the extension, and she moves them out into a wider base, a better receiving position. And ideally in weightlifting, we do that too, right? We start here and then we open up more to take the clean or the snatch down into a squat. That's personal preference. Some people stay in the same position. They just come up and come back down. It's really up to you, but per like novice, beginner, even like lower intermediate, I think it's a better idea at least to start with the idea of moving your feet out every time you receive a clean or a snatch. And then as you become more proficient, then that's up to you. You experiment more, and you might like not moving your feet because you understand the movement and there's no need for you to open up the hips and, or however you feel. But ideally, you want to open up the feet. So let's see how he does in this next one. Dip, drive. This one's really good. Slides it down and controls it. So snatch, push, press. We want to launch the barbell up into the air. Overhead squat with the pause. Depending upon how heavy it is, sure, you can launch it up into the air, but that's not really the purpose of an overhead squat. The purpose of an overhead squat is to strengthen the squatting portion, the receiving portion of a snatch, right? So yeah, you can launch. She actually, in this video, she does launch it up into the air. She gets it up pretty high. And the snatch balance, we don't want to launch it into the air. We want to keep it as low as possible. You don't want the barbell to move. And if you were really good, no, actually, this is great. So, ask me a question. That's it. That's today's. It's quick. 5:20, 5:17.
There's a lot of parts that go into it that I feel like it's practice.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's just,
I mean, I think that's a good thing. If you feel overwhelmed, I always when it comes to the platforms and they're like, what do you want me to do? And that's because it's complicated movement.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't seen Jasmine on the platforms.
I wish I had time. I know. Really would.
7:30. I know you're the 7:30 crew.
Yeah, because my thing is that I mean the overhead squat especially I struggle with really like a lot. And I think it has a lot to do with my mobility.
Mobility or flexibility?
Probably both.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they're normally. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So for that part, you would recommend practicing more so with the overhead squat with a pause, then? Is that
where's your? I'd have to see you. At what point in the overhead squat do you feel uncomfortable?
Literally going down. Like as soon as I start going down, my arms, I feel like I don't have the mobility to go into the squat. Like I can press it up like over like the first motion, but the moment I go down, I don't know if I'm leaning too forward or if my arms aren't wide enough or they're too narrow in with the bar. I really don't know what's happening.
It could be all of that's a possibility.
Yeah.
I'd have to watch you. Send me, when you get the chance, send me a video of you doing an overhead squat.
Okay.
Both from like a corner view, like all these videos we watch. Take a look. Yeah. So just like the videos show me a video like that. That way I can see most of your
What's
body.
happening?
And then send me a profile view, the one on the side. And that applies to Laura. I know how you move. Janelle, I know how you move. Elaine, I see you move all the time. Liz, do the same. If you ever have, yeah, if you ever have any questions about your weightlifting movement, feel free to send me a video.
Oh, thank you. Okay.
And I'll take a look at it. It's hard to know what's going on without actually seeing it.
Yeah.
But feeling overwhelmed, Liz, is normal. Like I was saying, I love because initially there's like a lot of things to take in, but you can't, like anything, you can't get better at it until you start applying it. Yeah. What do we think, Elaine? We're done. It's a quick one.
That was fast.
What do we think? How you guys hanging with everything?
So.
I think I'm used to it now, honestly. I think I'm used to it.
Are you?
Yeah.
I thought I was used to it. Now I'm not.
Yeah. I think I am. The only thing I'm missing, I was just thinking, I was walking today and I was just like, how much of my strength is going to be gone? That's like, I think it's good to practice the movements. It's just the strength. And I know it'll come back, but I'm just like trying to think in my head, like, where am I going to be when we, when we come back? So.
Yeah. When we get back into the gym, the first thing we're doing is, well, one, we'll start off light. We'll keep it technique oriented to get everyone's timing back and like a precision. And then we're going to strength. We have to. A lot of us have lost so much. I can feel it. I feel it when I pick up my barbell. I have my barbell here. When I move it around, I'm like, oh my God, this feels awful.
Yeah, that's how I feel too. Like I was doing the PVC and then I pick up my barbell and I was like, why does this feel so heavy? So,
Anthony's barbell is like a 65, the men's barbell. So it's not like a woman's barbell that I'm used to. So
Yeah.
now, and I've been using it, but I'm like, oh my God, this is even heavier than I'm like, I've never used a guy's barbell. So I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
I'm trying.
Good.
Yeah.
I love women's barbells because they're so whippy, because they're so light and bendy. So it's almost like cheating when I lift with one, because I'm like, the sensation is so odd.
Yeah.
Mark Archer loves the women's barbell.
I'm sure he does.
Yeah.
He loves all that whip. He understands, because he's really good at gymnastics, so he understands how to, those really subtle nuances in weight, in shifting weight. He gets all of that. So I bet you gets a kick out of a really whippy barbell. Probably loves it. Yeah. Any more questions? You guys have anything? What should I
It's
talk
good to
about
see
next?
faces.
So what's a good warm up for, I guess, like the overhead movements, right? Like, you know what I mean? Because I feel like, I could probably warm up for like 30, 40 minutes, and I feel pretty good before I'm lifting, but who has all that time? You know what I mean?
I think a really good investment is a band. We don't use them in the gym. Well, we started using them in the gym, but then, I feel like they're disappearing. I feel like the band, there's less and less of them. Or I think they're snapping or something. I don't know. Also, you have to use what we're giving you. And so I bought a band that I feel is appropriate for, in fact, I use it almost exclusively for my shoulders. Oh, so there. Oh, yeah, that is it. And so,
okay.
It doesn't even have to be fancy. You can do some like the openers. I like to put some tension on it, not a whole lot, and put it into like my snatch grip, and then practice trying to go overhead. I do shoulder pass-throughs with the band. I think it's a great way to warm up the shoulders. Use
Yeah.
a band.
Okay. All right. I'll look into that, because it's kind of like looking for something that'll get warmed up like quickly, right? As opposed to spending like a whole hour warming up.
Yeah. Oh, your warm up should be like 5 to 8 minutes long. It should be pretty quick. And if you can't, then that means there are some bigger issues there that require more than a band, right?
Yeah. Before we left, I had started using the crossover symmetry thingamajiggy in the back.
Oh.
And Greg Everett had like suggested the one where you pull back, up,
that's a good
like
one.
this, and he said that it's very simple. You grab them cross like this and up and back, and he said do like 3 sets of like 8, and he said that's like one of the quickest, easiest way to warm up the shoulders for any kind of overhead movement. Burns like I don't know what initially. Now it's really gonna be bad when I go back, but
yeah, that's a good idea.
That's kind of what I do with my band. I mimic those TRX movements.
Yeah.
But you can also use the one in the gym. No one ever really uses that. It's also kind of in the wrong spot because people like to use that
the rack.
Squat rack.
Yeah.
I always fight with Andy on that.
Be careful.
No, I just say I'm jumping in, Andy. Jumping in between your sets. I can share, but a lot of people don't like to share for some reason. So.
Oh, what's it gonna be like when we get back? We can't share anything.
That's a whole nother issue.
We are in the middle of trying to figure that out.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And I personally, no, I think we'll be fine in time. You know what I'm afraid of? Now we're just chatting. I know we're not talking about weightlifting so much anymore, but I'm afraid that we're gonna enter this kind of behavior that we're all afraid of each other. Not really. I don't want it to become like, oh, you're like in my 6 feet of social space. Like, what kind of that really? I don't know. I think the implications for that are much more negative than are positive. Like, I
feel like that's already started.
You think so?
I think so.
Yeah.
It was weird for me because like I only go out if I need to go get groceries, and I went out a couple of weeks ago, and I wasn't paying attention, but I got close to people, but that's just because like, oh wait, there's a window here, and then there's blue stickers on the floor. I'm like, I'm supposed to be away because they gave me a look. They were like, I literally didn't think about it. Like I'm so used to being close to people and all, so that's something I have to adjust. Like keep my distance. Just be
It's going to be interesting for sure.
Yeah, even at work, like customers are having a hard time not like just us handing them their drinks. They're having like we have to set it down on a table and then they can pick it up, and they're having like a hard time. Like even the signs that say, "Oh, this door closed, please come around to the other side." People are still trying to open the door because that's what they're used to. I have two entrances to my cafe, so. But like it's really weird to see the adjustment of all this, because even at work we're going through that phase. When we open our cafe, we're gonna have plexi, so it's just an adjustment period because they said it's not gonna be the same ever again for a really long time at our job. Yeah.
I'll try and maintain. I'll try to be optimistic about it.
I know. I was like, hopefully this will all be over, and at least it's the Starbucks world.
I hope it teaches people like more like good cleanliness habits, right? I hope we get something out of this. Like we understand how dirty things are, right? I think I'm more worried about like the social aspect. And I was looking down. Where was I? I was at Whole Foods, and I was looking down. And I saw like maintain social distance, and that's I think what's really triggered me. I'm like, why is it social distancing? I don't like that term. I think it should have been something more clinical. Social distancing implies like, oh, you shouldn't be talking to people that you have no business being near. Like, oh, they're a stranger. And I think that it's the daily like polite habits of like, oh, good morning, hey, how are you, are going to be out the window because not everyone's going to be afraid to interact with others. That social distancing term kind of triggers me.
It strikes fear.
But yeah, at least I think in the gym we'll be fine. I think maybe initially we'll be a little like, oh, everyone maintain your space. But I think in time, because it's our community and we know each other, we're very familiar with one another. I think that kind of will go.
I think it'll be different, like with like other gyms, like 24 LA Fitness, like that. But like as our community, I think it would be a little better transition.
Oh, good point. You're right. Because at a 24-hour fitness, I would be like, oh.
Yeah, I'd be like, oh no.
Yeah.
So it's like as long as like we, for the most part, we all know each other. So I think it's like a little family. So it'd be easier to make that move.
Good point, Jazz. I like that.
For sure.
Cool. Okay, guys.
Okay.
I'm gonna log off.
Thank you.
Thanks, Javi.
Wonderful
Bye,
day.
everyone.
Bye.
Guys, take care. My store's open. Come get coffee.
Where?
San Marino.
Oh, okay. Send me the text or I don't know if you have. Send me the information.
I will.
Okay. I want some brewed coffee. I have not had brewed coffee. Okay.
Yay.
Bye.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.